Hi, Ali. Lovely to meet you. And thank you so much for doing this interview for Together 2012. Um, so maybe I'll introduce myself quickly. I'm Hazel. I'm a visual artist and I work for Together 2012 as a youth development worker. Um, could you introduce yourself briefly and tell us a bit about your practice and what mediums you use?
Yeah, for sure. It's lovely to meet you, Hazel, and hello, everybody at Together 2012. My name is Ali, and I'm originally from Canada, Toronto, and I am a contemporary artist. I focus primarily on acrylic painting with a documentary aspect to it, and I did my bachelor's at Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario, and I did my master's in curatorial studies and contemporary art at the Glasgow School of Art. And currently, I'm doing my PhD with the University of Southern Queensland in Australia. It's all over the globe.
Wow. So are you doing your PhD over Zoom and kind of
Yeah. So right now, I'm doing research abroad. So it's very exciting just to have an international aspect to my research.
amazing? If it wasn't for lockdown COVID, would you ideally be traveling around and actually being in the different places or
A little bit more, yeah. Last month I was in Amsterdam and I was doing an artist residency there with Art House Holland, and I did the first installation of my PhD. So I would be doing more of it if it wasn't for lockdown, but right now I'm still trying to make progress.
yeah, it's quite nice I think having like a project to work on at the moment and something to focus on,
Exactly.
distraction from the yeah from everything. um when I was a young student just starting out, I was always wondered how people got where they did. So I wondered whether you could talk a bit about where your art career started, and how it's developed and how you've got where you have now.
Yeah, for sure. I guess like my predisposition for art started back in high school when I went to a private school and you had to take a art elective, and we didn't have drama or like dance or anything like that. So I just chose visual art, and from there I found that like my teacher at the time, he really inspired me, and I really found that I could express my voice through art, and so I ended up doing my undergrad in it, and from there I just built and built and built, and now it's just my whole life.
Amazing. And now doing a PhD, which is so impressive. It's interesting hearing about other curriculums from Canada compared to how it is in the UK. Um, so so you're also a curator, is that correct, as well as an artist at the moment?
Yeah,
Is that a quite a recent development in your practice, or has that always been something that you've been doing?
I think for me, it my objective was to be a curator first and foremost, but then I gained experience through being an artist, and so then I realized that they're not necessarily separate. Back in maybe 2015, I started curating, and I was doing student exhibitions, and then I started working for art galleries in the contemporary arts. So I was curating the archives and their collections, and I found that I really loved it. But then I didn't want to give up my artist aspect of it. So I realized that they can go hand in hand, because as an artist, you know the needs of the artist, and as a curator, you know how to express that. So then by putting both of them together, you're able to give like a whole experience on a subject matter that you research deeply.
Yeah, that totally makes sense actually. And I guess curating is quite a collaborative process, and you meet a lot of different people, and that must be a really interesting kind of aspect to your work too, I suppose.
Oh yeah.
How do you? Well, maybe this will lead me on to your kind of quite large project, which was your book called "The Starving Artist: Understanding Body Image and Eating Disorders Within Contemporary Art." Um, this looked like a huge kind of project to embark on, and so interesting. I'm so fascinated in it. And you worked with loads of different artists. Was it 50 for this book?
It was 25
25.
artists and researchers, but
Yeah,
it's been growing ever since then. So
really. Yeah.
yeah.
Amazing. I just wondered how that came about. Sorry.
Yeah. No, go for it. I think for me, it started with my own personal experience struggling with these issues, and as an artist, I sought after art to try and like find and understand it more. But with a lack of it in the contemporary conversation, I felt like it would be a perfect project for me to discuss and like start. And I originally was just planning to see if I can get like maybe 3 or 4 artists and people to get involved with it. But then there was such an international like outreach of people being like, yes, I want to get involved. Like, how can I get involved and stuff like that. And I realized that there's a lot more people and a lot of different demographics that were underrepresented. And so I found that I was struggling through emails and emails like constantly with different time zones and people with different schedules, but it came together really nicely. So you have voices from Spain all the way to like the UK here, from Canada to Poland, and it's really nice to have like such a diversity being represented through the work. And I guess a little bit more about it is that it ended up becoming an exhibition and it was a publication, and it it's a non-for-profit publication, so all the sales proceeds went to a charity I started called The Starving Artist, and it starts a scholarship fund for people seeking inpatient treatment for eating disorders, because often the public sector is really slow in processing it and private costs so much. So helping people access these resources is really important to me. And as an artist and curator, I think you should be able to have a direct impact of your work, not only visually, but like through the community. So activism is very, very important to what I do.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that well, I'll ask the next question in a minute, but it seems like it kind of snowballed and evolved in quite an organic way, which is really interesting because I was wondering how you contacted these different people, but it seemed like in some ways they reached out to you, which I think maybe shows there's a kind of gap for this kind of work. And I think it's really important to be able to communicate these issues and personal issues through different mediums and different ways, because we hear a lot of there's lots of articles written or statistics or things which sometimes may be a bit cold or numbers, but then I think having these like personal experiences, it's really like helpful for other people to also like experience and understand. So yeah, the next question was, has your work always been, has it always had a kind of activist element? And yeah, is that something you want to also continue with in the future?
Yeah, I think when I was younger, I didn't realize that art could have an activism impact to it. But as I became a curator, I realized that art can communicate so much more than just a visual painting. And I found that through doing events and through doing artist talks, that people really wanted something that can help bridge the gap. And especially for the general public who not necessarily grasp art to its fullest potential sometimes and just want to appreciate it, they found that engaging with it in a social aspect helped them understand it a little bit more. So I've found that like, yeah, I would love to continue having activism as like a key element in it. I think that for me it's really important because it adds more passion and it makes me want to push the art further and get it out there even more, because it has such a strong impact and a strong like personal like purpose to making it.
Yeah, definitely. I would totally agree. All for it. Um, so yeah, so you've spoken a little bit about your PhD, but I wondered, yeah, if there was anything um, concrete you wanted to talk about that you had coming up, or I guess COVID, lockdown, and everything probably has affected a lot of projects. But
Yeah, oh gosh. I mean, I've been involved in a lot of things recently, and I think COVID has helped and hindered in so many different ways because there's lots of digital and online exhibitions that are going on right now. But I think in terms of my PhD and all of that, I'm still continuing research on eating disorders and body image, but it's through an autoethnographic lens, which means exploring eating disorders through my own personal story and struggles. And I've been creating works on that and hopefully starting a second publication on it. And that is to be continued. So I guess stay tuned for updates on that.
exciting! It sounds great. Yeah, I guess one of the things being brought online is you can have a massive global audience, which it's nice thinking about some positives about adapting to this way of working and communicating, showing, expressing yourself, showing work. That's personally what I've enjoyed as well during lockdown. Um, so Yeah, I guess we're probably running out of time a little bit, but I wondered whether you could briefly describe the event that you're doing for Together 2020 Disability History Month Festival on, let me get the date right, Tuesday, the 17th of November.
Yeah, for sure. So this is a project that I've been so excited to work on with you guys, and it's essentially a digital exhibition showing the artworks that I was working on about my own personal struggle with eating disorders. And I think that it will have a public viewing and then also an artist interview and talk online. So then if you guys want to engage and ask your own questions, you're absolutely allowed to. And it'll be a great platform for people to open conversations and discuss their own personal experiences, as well as I think for artist side of things, you'll get to see how art can be portrayed in 2020 with COVID and online, and starting some discussions around that. So hopefully you guys are excited, because I certainly am.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. Thank you so much for talking a bit about your work and your background and everything. It's really generous. Keep going. It's very exciting. Yeah, I'm looking forward to what you do next. It's great.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm really, really excited to get to be involved in this. So thank you guys for having me.